Hello and welcome to Speak Up channel. This is the Learning English podcast program. This program is designed for people learning English and we are here to help you. So if you want to speak faster, get vocabulary, improve and boost your fluency, this is the right video for you. Hope you enjoy it. Grab your pencil and the paper, write down the new vocabulary, pronounce the words and learn a lot. See you on our next lesson. Bye-bye.
Hey everyone! Today we're tackling two words that even intermediate English learners sometimes mix up, the verbs borrow and lend. They both involve giving and taking things temporarily, but the key is knowing who's giving and who's taking. For example, do you borrow a book from a friend or do they lend it to you? It's easy to confuse them, but don't worry. By the end of this episode, you'll use both words confidently. Let's jump in.
You're listening to the Lesson of the Day on the Learning English podcast. Welcome to the part of the show where we help you do more. This series shows Anna Mateo in her work and life in Washington, D.C.
Anna discovers she has a little problem when she sees her friend Marcia. Listen and see if you can guess what the problem is.
Have a nice day at work, Marcia.
You too, Anna. Oh, wait. Do you have pen and paper I can borrow?
Of course.
We are meeting at this restaurant tonight.
What is happening tonight?
Today is my birthday. We are celebrating at 7 p.m. tonight. Did you forget?
Sorry, Marcia. I gotta go. See you later.
Don't forget. Tonight, 7 p.m.
Listeners, do you know what the problem is? Anna gets worried and then leaves quickly when she learns that it is Marcia's birthday. So the problem is, Anna has forgotten Marcia's birthday. Next, we see Anna at her desk at work.
I forgot Marcia's birthday, and I don't get my paycheck until next week. I know. I'll make her a gift. I'll just have to borrow a couple of things. Amelia, may I borrow your stapler?
Sure. I can lend you my stapler, Anna. But please return it. It's my favorite stapler.
You will see that Amelia keeps her stapler, an office tool for connecting pieces of paper, in a special box. Amelia acts like her stapler is a very valuable item, like a piece of expensive jewelry or a special family photo.
Well, some people really do like their office supplies.
That's true. Now let's look at the language Anna and Amelia use. They use two very useful verbs, but these verbs sometimes cause confusion for people learning English. The verbs are borrow and lend.
Anna needs to borrow Amelia's stapler. That means she wants to use Amelia's stapler and then give it back to her.
Amelia gives Anna the stapler to use, but she expects Anna to return it to her. When you let someone use something but expect them to return it back to you, you lend it to them.
And don't forget to use the correct prepositions. We borrow from someone and we lend to someone.
Remember, the borrower receives the item and the lender shares or loans the item.
Notice that Anna says,
Amelia, may I borrow your stapler?
the expression may I is the polite way to ask when we want to borrow something.
Anna collects more office supplies. She collects paper clips, small pieces of paper, tape, elastic rubber bands, and more. And she borrows scissors, used for cutting, from Jonathan. What do you think she's going to make with all of those things? Let's listen.
Happy birthday, Marcia.
Thanks, Anna. I love birthday gifts. Anna, it is interesting. What is it?
Well, I know you love hats and you need office supplies. So, this is your own office supply hat.
Wow, that is a lot of office supplies.
Many people loaned or shared their supplies with me. Some people really love their office supplies. It has paper, pens, tape, erasers, rubber bands, binder clips, paper clips, and a light.
What is the balloon for?
The balloon will help your friends find you. Let's try it. You get a seat in the restaurant. I will find you. Sometimes all the money in the world can't buy the perfect gift. Till next time.
It's true. Sometimes the best gifts are the ones we make ourselves. Anna has made Marcia a unique hat. That's spelled U-N-I-Q-U-E, and means that it is very special and not like any others.
In English, we call a unique item a one-of-a-kind, meaning there are no others that are the same as it.
Yes, and this certainly is a one-of-a-kind hat. Anna took a small round container and connected all the office supplies to it. So now Marcia can walk around with a hat of office supplies.
And a red balloon on top, too.
There's always something silly going on with Anna. But when we listen to Anna talk about office supplies, we can hear a very common aspect of American pronunciation. She uses many words that end in the letter R, such as paper, rubber, eraser, and binder.
In this lesson, you hear Anna using many words that end in the letter R.
It has paper, pens, tape, erasers, rubber bands, binder clips, paper clips, and a light.
One difference between British and American English is the sound of at the end of a word.
In American English, that sound is a strong as in stapler. In British English, the sound is closer to stapler.
It has paper, pens, tape, erasers, rubber bands, binder clips, paper clips, and a light.
Now that Anna has made her special hat, she needs to return the scissors to Jonathan and the stapler to Amelia.
Yes, and she especially needs to give Amelia her stapler back. I think Amelia would be very upset if that didn't happen. You know, this reminds me of an expression that I learned when I was in Japan. It was, only a fool loans a neighbor his scissors.
Well, you know, that reminds me, there is a famous expression in English.
Wait, is that by the famous British playwright William Shakespeare?
Yes, and I think you know what I'm about to say.
I think I do.
In Shakespeare's famous play, Hamlet, a man is saying goodbye to his son, and he gives his son some advice. And one of the things he says is, "Neither a borrower nor a lender be, for loan oft loses both itself and friend, and borrowing dulls the edge of husbandry."
That's some fancy English. But what it means is if you lend someone money, you might not get it back. And so you might lose your friendship with the person who borrowed your money. And if you borrow too much money, then you might not keep your house or family in good financial condition. And that's because you will owe too much money.
I guess that is good advice. But, Jill, I was going to ask you, Do you have $20 I could borrow to take a taxi home? I forgot my wallet today.
Well, I feel pretty good about our friendship, so for today at least, I'm going to go against Shakespeare's advice and be a lender.
I'm glad you are a lender bee, and I shall give thy money back to thee.
Now, you're just using fancy English for the fun of it. Don't worry, I trust you. Well, listeners, we trust that you enjoyed this lesson of the day on the Learning English podcast. Thanks for listening.
Artificial sweeteners? Those supposedly healthy sugar alternatives we've trusted for decades? Well, groundbreaking research suggests they might actually be making us hungrier, not helping us eat less.
That's fascinating timing because I've been using artificial sweeteners daily, thinking I was making the smarter choice. What exactly did the researchers discover?
So this team at USC studied 75 adults, looking specifically at how sucralose, Splenda, affects our brains. They used advanced imaging to track brain activity after people drank either water, sugar-sweetened, or sucralose-sweetened beverages.
How exactly did they measure what was happening in people's brains?
Well, they tracked blood flow as a marker of neural activity, focusing on the hypothalamus. That's our brain's hunger control center. And here's where it gets wild. Sucralose actually increased blood flow there by 3%, while both water and regular sugar decreased it by 6%.
So you're telling me the artificial sweetener actually ramped up hunger signals? That seems completely counterintuitive.
Right? And get this. Participants reported feeling 3 times hungrier after the sucralose drink compared to the sugary one. It's like their bodies were being tricked into expecting calories that never arrived.
That really makes me think about all those times I chose diet sodas thinking I was doing myself a favor. What's the biological mechanism behind this?
It comes down to these crucial hormones, insulin and GLP-1. Regular sugar triggers their release, telling our brains we've eaten something. But sucralose? It's like promising your brain a paycheck and never delivering.
Looking back, I can recall times when I actually ate more on days I used artificial sweeteners. I always blame my lack of willpower.
That's exactly what makes this research so important. It shows there's actually a biological basis for what you experienced. Dr. Page suggests this mismatch between sweet taste and caloric reward might actually condition our brains to crave more sugar over time.
So what should people who are trying to cut back on sugar take away from this?
Well, I think we need to be more nuanced in how we think about these alternatives. They're not just neutral sugar substitutes. They're bioactive compounds that can influence our bodies in unexpected ways. The key might be understanding that what works for one person might not work for another.
That really highlights how complex our relationship with food actually is, doesn't it?
Absolutely right. And it emphasizes how we need to move beyond simple calories in, calories out thinking. These findings suggest our bodies respond to complex chemical signals and neural pathways that we're still working to understand.
So it sounds like we should treat artificial sweeteners as just one tool among many, rather than a perfect solution?
Exactly. And remember, this research is part of an ongoing scientific conversation. The more we learn, the better equipped we'll be to make truly informed choices about our health and nutrition. It's not about demonizing artificial sweeteners, but rather understanding their real effects on our bodies and brains.
This whole conversation really makes me think differently about reaching for that packet of Splenda tomorrow morning.
And that's exactly what good science should do. Challenge our assumptions and help us make more informed decisions. The key is staying open to new findings and being willing to adjust our habits based on emerging evidence.
Speak up. IELTS listening time. Get ready to sharpen your listening skills with 4 authentic IELTS passages. These recordings feature native English speakers, just like you'd encounter in the real exam. As you listen, keep a pen handy. Your challenge is to jot down every new word you hear. Don't worry about catching everything the first time. The goal is to train your ear and expand your vocabulary. Pay attention to the context around new words. It'll help you guess their meanings. Ready? Let's dive in.
Listen to a conversation between a student and a professor.
Thanks for seeing me, Dr. Barton.
No problem. It's my office hour. What did you want to talk about?
I wanted to discuss the topic I've chosen for the paper I'm supposed to be writing for your anthropology course. The topic I'm thinking about is a bit unusual.
Oh, you know it has to be related to some aspect of anthropology that we're studying. What topic did you have in mind?
I wanted to write about a test used by the Roman military to test soldiers' eyesight.
An eyesight test used by the Roman military? Are you sure this is related to our anthropology class? Well, tell me about it. What is this eyesight test that the Roman military used?
Well, it was a test that the Romans used to determine if their soldiers would fight as foot soldiers on the front lines or as archers behind the front lines. Roman soldiers were required to undergo certain tests to determine their ability to perform as soldiers. One of these tests was simply to count the stars in the constellation the Big Dipper. This test determined the acuity of their vision. See, look at this picture of the Big Dipper. You can see the 7 stars in the Big Dipper. The star at the bend of the handle of the Big Dipper is called Mizar, and Mizar is a binary star. If you look closely, there's a second star called Alcor next to Mizar. If a Roman soldier's eyesight was good enough to see Alcor, he could fight as an archer. If he couldn't see Alcor, he had to fight on the front lines as a foot soldier.
So, this eye test was based on the ability of the soldier to see Alcor next to Mizar.
Yes, exactly.
Wow, that's a very interesting test. But I'm not sure that it's related to the material in our anthropology class. Well, let's put it this way. How would you relate this to the material in the anthropology course?
I'd relate it to the idea of survival of the fittest.
Interesting. And how would you relate it to this concept? Survival of the fittest has to do with the idea that those who are strongest or have some other physical or mental advantage will be more likely to survive.
Well, this test for eyesight was used not only by the Romans, but also other groups of people for hundreds of years. The interesting point is that over time, more people have been able to pass the test, and the fact that more people have been able to pass this test over time has been attributed to survival of the fittest. It was certainly true for Roman soldiers that those who passed the test had a better chance of surviving for longer.
And why is that? Why did Roman soldiers who passed the test stand a better chance of surviving longer?
Well, soldiers with better eyesight weren't on the front lines. Those with worse eyesight were sent to the front lines and, more often than not, were killed on the front lines. Archers stood a better chance of survival and were around to father children who would also tend to have better eyesight than those who failed the test. This is what supports the concept of survival of the fittest.
That's an interesting idea. As long as you concentrate on the idea of survival of the fittest in your paper and use this example of an eye test to support the concept, I think you would have a solid paper.
That's what I'll do then. Thanks, Dr. Barton.
Listen as a student asks her professor about an assignment.
Professor Roberts, I have a question for you about the assignment.
Okay, if it's a short question.
It is. The assignment on the syllabus lists pages 101 through 120 in the text, and the last page of the assigned reading is a list of questions. I was wondering if we were supposed to read through the questions and just think about the answers, or actually write out the answers to the questions.
Well, you don't need to write out neat and formal answers to the questions, but you should be really familiar with the answers because we'll be talking about the questions during class, and I expect you to have answers ready.
You mean we don't need to turn in written answers to the questions?
That's right. But you might want to jot down notes about your answers so that you can refer to them during our discussion.
Listen as a student talks to a librarian.
Excuse me, can you help me, please?
That's why I'm here. What do you need?
I need to find a specific magazine, and I'm not sure where to look.
How old is the magazine you need to find? Is it a recent magazine? Less than a year old? Or is it an older magazine?
You need to know how old the magazine is to find it?
That's why I asked. The more recent magazines, those that are less than a year old, are in the magazine reading room on the second floor. But after a year, magazines are bound together and put in hard covers, and the bound magazines are on the third floor.
Well, the magazine I want to find is more than a year old, so that means that I need to go to the second floor. Oh, excuse me. What am I saying? The third floor.
That's right, the third floor.
Thanks for your help. I really appreciate it.
You're quite welcome. Feel free to come by any time.
Listen to a group of students discussing information from a zoology class.
The next animal we need to discuss is the opossum. The opossum is another kind of marsupial.
A marsupial? Oh no, I think we're supposed to know what that is.
We are. A marsupial is an animal that carries its young in a pouch.
Oh, that's right. It's like a kangaroo.
Exactly.
And young opossums stay in their mother's pouch for what, a few days?
No, not exactly. It's about 2 months. Then, when the babies are about 2 months old, they come out of their mother's pouch, but they don't go very far. For the next few months, they go everywhere with their mother.
They just ride along on their mother's back.
So young opossums spend the first 2 months in their mother's pouch and the next 2 months hanging on her back?
You've got it. Now, aren't opossums animals that play dead?
I don't think it's opossums that play dead. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe it is. We do talk about playing possum if we're talking about pretending that we're asleep or dead.
Exactly.
So when an opossum's frightened by an attacker, it doesn't run away?
No, it doesn't. It just rolls over on its back, kind of curls up, and pretends it's dead.
I guess it's just hoping the attacker will think it's dead and will go away and leave it alone.
Listen to a discussion in an astronomy class.
Today, we'll be discussing the planet Venus, which is the second planet in our solar system. I'm sure you all know which planet is the third planet in our solar system. Yes, Beth?
Is Earth the third planet?
You don't sound too sure of your answer, Beth, but yes, that's true. Venus is the second planet in our solar system, and Earth is the third. Venus is almost the same size as our Earth, which is the fifth largest planet in the solar system. The planet Venus is easily visible in the sky from Earth, although not always as a complete sphere. It goes through some phases, just like the moon. Sometimes it's fully visible, like a full moon. Sometimes it's half visible, and sometimes it's only a small crescent. When do you think Venus is the brightest? When it's fully visible or when it's a crescent? Mark?
Well, it makes sense that it would be the brightest when it's fully visible.
Well, things aren't always as they seem. Try again.
You mean Venus is actually brighter when it's only a small crescent than when it's fully visible?
That's exactly what I mean. Now, does anyone know if Venus is a hot or cold planet? What would you expect, since Venus is closer to the sun than our planet is?
Since it's so close to the sun, I think it would be very hot.
And it is. The temperature there can reach almost to 500 degrees centigrade. What is this in Fahrenheit? Anyone? Come on, we've talked about this before.
I think that's around 900 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yes, it is. Now, we've said that the temperature on Venus is quite hot, and the temperature there is hot because Venus is so close to the sun. But that's not the only reason that Venus is so hot. It's also hot for another reason. Does anyone know? Could it be the atmosphere? What is its atmosphere made of? Beth?
Its atmosphere is almost entirely carbon dioxide.
Yes, that's right, Beth. And this type of atmosphere holds in the heat from the sun extremely well. Now,
let's talk about the clouds that cover Venus. As you know, Venus is visible to us on Earth, but it's not actually the planet that we see. It's the clouds. The surface of Venus can't be seen, even with a telescope, because of the clouds that surround the planet. What can you tell me about the clouds that cover Venus?
The clouds around Venus?
Yes, I'm asking about the clouds around Venus. I want to know about the clouds around Venus.
Do you want to know what they're made of? They're made of carbon dioxide. No, wait a minute. The atmosphere is made of carbon dioxide. The clouds are made of sulfuric acid.
That's right. The clouds on Venus are actually made of sulfuric acid. These clouds help to contribute to the brightness of Venus in our sky. When Venus appears to shine so brightly, it's because the light of the sun is reflecting off Venus's clouds of sulfuric acid.
Listen to a conversation between two students.
Do you enjoy playing chess?
Yes, I really do.
Well, you might think about joining the chess club. I belong to it, and I think you might really enjoy it too.
What does the chess club do?
The members get together once a week for friendly competitions. Then each semester, the 3 best players from the club compete in a tournament with players from other schools.
The meetings once a week sound like a lot of fun, but, my chess playing just, might not be quite up to the level of tournament play.
Well, why don't you come with me this Wednesday and try out one of the weekly meetings? You can come to the meetings for a while and then see if you're ready to compete in a tournament in a few months.